Well, bless up to all my Jamaican people, diaspora, and friends of Jamaica. I hope you are all amazing. This is Jamaica Worldwide. You're listening to Bob Campbell. Of course, if you haven't subscribed, I encourage you to subscribe to the channel. That would be amazing. Of course, also enable the notifications. Yes, that's right. Hit the notification bell so you can get the new videos as soon as they are released. You can also donate to the channel. Yes, of course, if you appreciate our message and appreciate the things we have to say, you can now donate to our Jamaica Worldwide PayPal. The link is in the description. Alright, right now we're talking about an OG, you understand? A real legend. One of the top boss Jamaicans them who set the trend and set the pattern. When you talk about Jamaicans who leave the shores of the island and go out and create something great and something that the Jamaican people can get up and say, yes, he's Jamaican. Who we're talking about is none other than the right excellent Marcus Garvey. Right? Now this is a first in a feature of some of our national heroes, because I find that a lot of youths, they know the national heroes, they know of them, and a lot of people, surprisingly, or maybe not surprisingly, don't know what these icons have done to become national heroes. They just know the name. And even so, a lot of people, even though they know of the greatness, they don't really know the scope and measure of the greatness that is, for example, Marcus Garvey. But in addition to that, I was looking at the current situation going on with Kanye West, right? Where he made certain comments about the Jewish community and spoke to the impact that people of the black race suffer when they are not united, and some of the similar stances that he would have had to the right excellent Marcus Garvey. I'm gonna get into that a little bit later, but let me first bring you up to speed on who is the right excellent Marcus Garvey. So we're gonna get into it, right? Marcus Garvey was born 7th of August 1887 in a nuclear family, very important, in St. Anne's Bay. I'm gonna get into the whole mother, father, all of that right now. But up to the age of 14, Garvey attended a local church school, but couldn't afford more education beyond that. However, when not in school, he worked on his uncle's farm. He had friends as any other youth, and once broke the window of the church, resulting in his arrest. You see, Marcus Garvey had some white friends, but what he noticed was as he got older, the white friends would distance themselves from him. As a matter of fact, his closest childhood friend was a white girl. So he never had a feeling of race and needing to be separate from white people at that point in time. Anyway, Marcus, in 1901, Marcus would have worked with his godfather, who was a local printer, right? And they opened another branch in Port Maria where Garvey work and travel from St. Anne's Bay each morning. In 1905 that is, he moved to Kingston, right? And not necessarily just in Kingston, he moved to Smith Village, which was a working class neighborhood. And once again, he worked with a printing company, which is P.A. Benjamin Manufacturing Company and rose through the company's ranks, becoming the first black Jamaican foreman. But you see, in the 1907 earthquake, when Kingston did get destroyed, because you know about 1907 earthquake, Kingston did mash up. So him did have it rough for a little while, for months. His mother actually did the 1908. He became what he call a trade unionist and actually took a leading role in 08 print workers strike. And you know them fire him after that. You see me? So after that, then Brandon was a troublemaker, so he wasn't able to find any work in private sector after that. So he then got temporary employment in the government with a government printer, right? And as a result of those experiences, he became increasingly angry at inequalities in the Jamaican society, because you know at the time black people are work and never really get much pay, you understand? And there was such inequality that, you know, the white man was working and getting, you know, exorbitant amount of money, and the black just wasn't seeing it. So this, you know, increasingly angered Marcus Garvey, you know. So he involved himself with the National Club, Jamaica's first nationalist organization, and became the first assistant secretary in April of 1910. They tried to remove the governor of Jamaica from office, Sidney Oliver, and they tried to end the migration of the Indians to Jamaica. That's what we call coolies, because they saw them as competition, where black Jamaicans were being refused jobs because these people were in the jobs. So the man did get busy. You see me? Him get busy because he followed through with his ideals for equality for the Jamaican black man, or black workers, I should say. But you see, in 1910, things just got very rough. Right? Things get very rough, and Garvey left and went to Costa Rica. He had an uncle there, and he got employment as a timekeeper on a large banana plantation in the Limon province. And of course, although he was a timekeeper, him never liked how the workers them get treated. So he started a newspaper in Costa Rica called Nation, or La Nacion. But at some point, his printing press got damaged or was broke, and he couldn't replace the part, so he just scrapped that, you know. After this, he traveled through Central America, you know, Ecuador, Colombia, Venezuela, and ended up setting up a new newspaper called The Press, or La Prensa, in 1911. But he then became very ill, left, and went back to Jamaica. So in 1912 now, right, he left again and went to England for advancing education, right? Rent a room in Borough Street, right, in South London. So he got another job now as a handyman for African Times and Orient Review. That was a magazine based in Fleet Street. So then he moved up from that and became an actual writer for the magazine. So you actually see a pattern with Marcus Garvey, because anywhere he went, he usually went to work in a printry or magazine or some kind of publication. But that would lend itself now to him forming the UNIA between 1914 and 1916, right? When he was back in Jamaica in July 1914, he saw an article he wrote for Tourist magazine. The article was on Jamaica, right? He wrote this while he was in London, but he saw it now was republished in the Gleaner. Now at that time he began earning money selling greeting cards, condolence cards, and then moved on to selling tombstone. Jaja. But that same year he launched the UNIA, Universal Negro Improvement Association and African Communities League. So it was UNIAACL really. But everybody call it, even now today, call it UNIA. But its commitment was to establish a brotherhood among black people, Africans, right? People of African descent. He would be the UNIA's president. Now I'm doing this video on the backdrop of American musician, designer, artist, entrepreneur Kanye West, or Ye as people call it, made controversial statements about Jewish people. And I liken this stance to somewhat a stance that Marcus Garvey took, because he went to the United States in 1916, right? And in the United States, he launched the New York branch of the UNIA and declared membership open to anybody of African blood, African ancestry. And his idea was to build the African nation into a people who were self-reliant, self-sustaining, and of course free. Like Kanye West, who would do interviews and make public appearances and speeches all over the country and internationally also. Garvey would do speeches targeted towards the Native African American migrants, all people of African descent, right? So through this, he was associating with someone called Hubert Harrison, and that person was promoting ideas of black self-reliance and racial separatism. So in June of 1917, he shared the stage with Harrison at a meeting. That's a League of Negro Americans, right? And in his appearance here and at other events that were organized by Harrison, Garvey attracted growing public attention. So after US entered the First World War in 1917, Garvey initially signed up, right? But he was ruled physically unfit to do so, right? Because Garvey did have on a little weight, right? So I'm sure his followers saw that coming. But he continued later becoming an opponent to the war, as many people were. A lot of people, including Harrison, was saying, yo, this is a white man's war, right? So when they had something called the St. Louis race riots in May to June of 1917, where white mobs were targeting black people, Garvey began calling for armed self-defense. He was making publications, he was giving speeches, he was doing all these things. Proceeds from the sale of his publications went to victims of the riots. And this is 1917, So let me tell you, say, great, Garvey was doing big things. As a matter of fact, he was bold enough to say for every Negro lynched by whites in the South, Negroes should lynch a white in the North. And don't clutch your pearls, because it gets pretty dark. But remember, this is 1917. It's a different time from 2022. So all through this time, the UNIA was growing and becoming a more established organization. Garvey himself was well known. His message was wide-reaching. He went on also to establish the Black Star Line. From an established office, the UNIA started selling shares for the business, seeking to challenge the domination of whites in the maritime industry. As a matter of fact, the name Black Star Line was also based on the White Star Line that existed at the time. The Black Star Line was supposed to be a shipping and passenger line traveling between Africa and the Americas. And this would be black owned, black staffed, with black patrons, right? Black people would have their own shipping company, a ship that represented what black people could achieve, or I should say what black people have achieved. He incorporated the company, started it, tried to find a ship to buy. He was selling the stocks, advertised the stocks for sale in Virginia, and went also in September 1919 to Chicago, home of one Kanye West. Now, why I bring up the whole Kanye West issue is the conviction with which both men expressed the need for black people, African people, people of African descent to band together, come together, to own, establish businesses, build together, start organizations, lobby for our own development. And I think about the nature of Kanye's current situation, current Waterloo, right? Because what a lot of people may not know or remember is that Garvey was linked to the KKK. This is the Ku Klux Klan, right? And we know of the Ku Klux Klan being anti-black. So why would Marcus Garvey have any association with same, right? And I watched a few videos where Kanye has been given opportunity to express or explain his statements. And in a few interviews I saw where he described himself as being Jewish. And of course his statements were defamatory towards Jewish people. Now just the same, right? Garvey, as I said, Marcus Garvey had the belief by extension of Hubert Harrison of racial separatism. As in, black people, African people feel stay to themselves, build to themselves, build and grow to themselves, right? And if you really think about it, the Ku Klux Klan had the same agenda. So what you know, it's like you say, alright, your people for stay to themselves, mix with the black people. And Garvey say, alright, fine, we no business. We are stay to ourselves. So to that extent, Garvey was willing to collaborate with KKK in order to achieve his aims. And the KKK was willing to work with him because his approach effectively acknowledged that US should be a country for white people and Africa be a country for black people. As a matter of fact, Garvey was seeking for black and white separatists to work together, indicated that they shared a common goal, right? The purification of their respective races. Now, bigotry and racism aside, it actually makes sense in in a logical way. You understand? You don't want your race mixed with my people. Me don't want my race mixed with your people. So we could work together. See? So Marcus basically was saying them better work with because you can trust them because you know exactly what them want. You see me? You can trust them ambitions, them straight up about it. So just the same now, you have fast forward 2022 where you have a lot of media companies, a lot of entertainment companies that own rights and sign black people, black artists, black entertainers to their companies. And there's this shock and awe when Kanye West says that Jewish people own black people basically in those kind of sentiments, and black people should be aware of this. You see, the more things change, the more things remain the same. So right now, you know Kanye West say, I'm Disney, I'm Picasso, I'm Marcus Garvey. Because if really and truly the Jewish people who own these companies are honest about what they are doing and the benefits they get from black entertainers, you see that this shunning of Kanye West, where a lot of black celebrities have shunned him, including Noor from Drink Champs, that actually took down the interview they did with him some time ago. Garvey himself, who was convicted in America because he was actually deported to Jamaica at some point. But this man who famously quoted that without confidence you are twice defeated in the race of life, but with confidence you have won before you have even started. This man was also quoted to say to his wife that when he left Jamaica after that, he was a broken man with a broken spirit. A man who wielded so much power and so much influence in the African diaspora. As a matter of fact, most of the countries that you see with the red, gold, and green on their flag, it was based on the philosophies of Marcus Garvey, that in independence they had adopted these colors to emphasize the philosophy of Marcus Garvey. I would imagine Kanye's message to be relevant in this time, as it has always been since the days of Marcus Garvey. Not that we need separatism. As a matter of fact, in these days we need more unity of all races. But with slavery we have somehow skipped a step and have not developed ourselves as a people and are somehow lost and at a disadvantage, considering the balance of power that exists in the United States and the world between black people and other races. One other similarity is that Marcus learned early the very important role that media have or has to play in a society. And if you control the media, then you can control how your message is spread. You see, where Everywhere he went, he worked with a publishing company. He always tried to do a publication, tried to start a newspaper, start a magazine, start some form of publication. Because he saw that media was very important in spreading the message. And just the same, Kanye is lamenting that for our race to grow, to become stronger, we need to be in control of our own message, in control of our own resources, our own destiny. You know, Garvey actually died not seeing the level of racial unity that he pursued. And to this day, I think there's a lot of disunity among Africans, African Americans, all people of African descent. He actually died from a stroke. He got one in January 1940 and then suffered a second stroke and died at the age of 52 in June. But anyway, people, let me know what you think in the comments. Is there any similarity to the activism of Kanye West and Marcus Garvey? Yeah, man. Bless up. Enough love and respect. And I wish you all the best. This is Jamaica Worldwide.